Welcome to Spiritual Psychology. My name's Renee McKenna, and I bring my 30-plus years as a recovering addict and ex-crazy person turned therapist and shamanic healer to bring you snackable teachings on spirituality, psychology, and all things personal growth. And today I want to talk about the 8 C's of self-leadership in internal family systems. And these are energies that are available to all humans as part of our core or authentic self. And we can cultivate these, strengthen them, and practice connecting with these positive and essential aspects to come to recognize how much of our true self is available to us in any moment. And the 8 C's are calmness, clarity, curiosity, compassion, confidence, courage, creativity, and connectedness. And we all have places where we're underdeveloped, and we all have places of natural strength. And if we're tending a garden, the garden of our own soul self, it's as important to water and nourish the flowers, fruits, and vegetables as it is to pull the weeds. So spending time tending, acknowledging, strengthening what's good about ourselves is absolutely imperative for a healthy inner life. It's very common to focus only on what's wrong with us. And I want to really encourage you to focus on what's right about you. And it can actually be kind of uncomfortable to do that because it's often a muscle, the muscle of self-affirmation, that we haven't used very much. But it's available to all of us. And internal family systems is a method of therapy created by Richard Schwartz. And I'm so grateful to this man. This is a sister work to my spiritual psychology practices. And he's brought these really deep and transformative processes into mainstream psychology. And although internal family systems, or IFS, stops short of true engagement with the transpersonal or spiritual aspects of life, he brings us right up to it and really pushes the edge of the intellectual limitations of traditional Western psychology. Super grateful to Richard Schwartz. I hope someday I get to thank him in person for his service to humanity, for creating IFS and really grounding and presenting this soul-level transformational work in a way that's acceptable to the often very myopic Western psychology community. So let's jump into the 8 C's one by one and see how you can add them to your own inner self-care and self-growth toolbox. So we'll start with calmness. And this is serenity regardless of circumstances, and the ability to react to triggers in the environment or inner emotional reactions in less automatic or extreme ways, to be able to be more present and to respond rather than react. And there is a place of inner peace and calm available to all of us, and we can practice that with meditation, mindfulness, physical practices like yoga, being in nature, coming out of our heads and into our bodies in present time to connect with the peace of the present moment. And you don't have to sit for 20 minutes on a cushion in a lotus position to find that calm. You can find it right now. Take a long, slow in-breath, deep into your belly. Relax your shoulders and release on your exhale. One mindful breath. And when we practice things, we get better at them. So practicing calmness. Next, coming into clarity. Clarity is the ability to perceive situations accurately without distortion of extreme beliefs or patterned emotions. Clarity is the ability to be objective about a situation, even if you have an interest in the outcome. And clarity is also the ability to recognize our own biased perspective, because we all have one. And from a place of clarity, we can recognize our own preconceptions and maybe be open-minded to seek a deeper understanding, which may give us a shift in perspective and changes in perspective have a direct correlation with how we feel. I recently had an interaction with a woman who was a little rude and dismissive to me. I started to wonder, what's her problem? And maybe she doesn't like me, which is not unusual because plenty of people don't like me. And then I found out that one of her family members is terminally ill. She's got a lot on her plate. Changed my perspective from concern about myself to compassion and concern and understanding for her. Now, she's not an overly friendly person to begin with, so honestly, she's not someone that I'm interested in having a deeper relationship with. She's always got that look on her face like she just ate a sour pickle. Not really my kind of person, but I can, God bless her, acknowledge my own desire to have everybody like me, which is unreasonable. I can acknowledge that I don't actually care about having a deeper relationship with her, and I can, God bless her, in her own care and concern for her family dynamics. Now, you might notice already that creating, connecting with, cultivating our relationship with these parts of ourselves takes time and effort, just like tending a garden. So if you want to just take some antidepressants and scroll on Instagram, drink too much coffee, and hope things will be different, it's kind of like the wild tomatoes that ended up growing in my backyard years after I stopped actually having a vegetable garden because I had kids and it was too much work with the dogs and everybody. But there were these kind of wild tomatoes over in the corner, covered with weeds and other things. And they would pop out some tomatoes, but not nearly as much as the potted ones on my deck that I cared for on a regular basis. So what we focus on grows. And depending on where we put our time, energy, and resources, we have the capacity to strengthen, heal, and transform every aspect of our life. So if you want to cultivate inner calmness and clarity, you're going to have to take some time practicing those things. And this brings us to curiosity. And curiosity is a sense of wonder about the world and how things work. Curiosity can have an openness and playfulness about it. And more than cultivating curiosity, I think it's about allowing it. I've been working with a couple recently who decided to separate, and he got into recovery for porn addiction. And she began to work on her codependency as a co-addict. And there's this really beautiful expansion and new growth happening between them in the space that's been created from them not living together. And he realized something that she's felt for a long time, which was the playfulness, fun, curiosity, and creativity that was part of their dating life completely went away when they got married. He became very serious and totally buckled down to take care of the family. And there was no room for joy or fun or humor, and he cut that part of himself out. And I'm going to say, from my perspective, that's why the addiction creeped in, because he lost access to some of the best parts about himself. And through his personal growth work, he's rediscovered his natural, adventurous, curious, playful nature. He brought a soccer ball to work and kicks it around at lunch. And some of the other scientists that he works with want to join him. And although curiosity was still present for him in his research work, he lost access to the more magical, wondrous life force that had engaged him in travel and exploring and experimenting with new things that was really a source of joy for him earlier in his life. And that's being rekindled. His relationship with curiosity about himself, about his wife, and about the world at large. It's incredible. The next C is compassion. And from a compassionate place, we can be open-heartedly present. We can appreciate others and ourselves without feeling the need to fix or change or distance or judge. It's also an intuitive understanding that the burdens or suffering of others affects us because we're all connected and we all share in the difficulties of the human experience. One of the gifts of Buddhism is that they don't have a deity or a god, although certainly some would make Buddha and some of the bodhisattvas those things. But in Buddhism, they talk about the energy of compassion as the transformative force. And compassion is different than empathy, which is where we're often feeling another's feelings or another person's feelings trigger our own unresolved emotional stuff. The key with compassion is acceptance and being open-hearted to people's experience from a place of understanding, again, without needing to fix or caretake, judge, or run away. Growing in compassion is a place of real emotional maturity. Next is confidence. And that's the ability to really stay present in a situation and effectively respond to anything that happens. From a place of confidence, we understand that life and learning includes making mistakes. And I've found for myself that when I'm open-minded, honest, and willing to just show up for things, I don't have to be an expert. I don't have to even know what's going to happen. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness are a place of confidence. Presence, groundedness in my own best adult self. I'm here to make progress, not perfection, and trust that I'm right where I'm supposed to be at any given moment. Next is courage. And for me, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling fear and doing it anyway. And fear includes anxiety. And there's a fallacy that courage would mean not being anxious or afraid. And if you're not anxious or afraid, you don't need courage. Courage is actually the willingness and ability to tolerate the discomfort of moving outside of our own comfort zone. And the best way to grow courage is to do scary things. And they don't have to be enormous. You don't have to jump out of a plane, which I think is a terrible thing to do anyway. Although I have friends and my son loves to jump out of planes, but no interest in facing that fear. But we can do little tiny things that make us anxious. I've been practicing keeping a spreadsheet for my numbers. Excruciating. In fact, getting financial clarity has been profoundly anxiety-producing for me. And I've been practicing growing in courage by doing difficult and scary things intentionally for quite a long time. And it feels really good when we're brave. And again, you can start small. And over time, the weeds of fear will die off as we water and nourish, strengthen the practice of courage in our own life. And it is a practice. It's like a muscle. So in order to be brave, you have to do scary things. Creativity is using our imagination to produce new things. It's being spontaneous, playful, getting in that flow state where new ideas or self-expression just kind of flow through us. Now, certainly art, dance, music, writing, poetry, but creativity can also be about building stuff, organizing or cleaning. But creativity is when the energy flows from us outward. And it's generally joyful, playful, fun, and engaging. In the technology age, most of us have gotten used to just being consumers of other people's creativity. It's like breathing in all the time without breathing out. It's my own belief that boredom is rooted in a lack or a block of creativity. That there's things that want to come out that don't have a place to go. And that creative outflow door that exists in all of us gets shut down and it deadens part of our life force. So I encourage you to be creative about your creativity because lots of people immediately think, oh, well, I can't paint or sing. What brings you joy? That's the outflow of your life force. We can be creative in our interactions with animals or others. I would equate creativity with playfulness, the outflow of spontaneous, joyful energy. Children create when they play with each other, make up games and stories, play pretend. Inner journey work and dream work is very creative. And we all are aspects of divinity. We're all little pieces of consciousness in a larger consciousness system. The life force flows through all of us. And what is it that wants to flow out from you? And finally, connectedness. And that is our experience of feeling being a part of something bigger than ourselves. Now, certainly relationally, we feel connected to others. And that's a relationship or a partnership, a team, a community. And that sense of being connected to something bigger really brings us a sense of companionship and energy, of spirituality. This idea that there is a transpersonal energy or connection happening that really helps us deal with reality and can help us navigate and transcend our difficulties. When we're connected, we can relax our defenses with others, know we won't be judged or controlled, that we'll be loved and cared for and appreciated for who we really are. There's shared experience, shared intentions. I think a lot of the draw to sports is that sense of connection around shared excitement and hope for a common team. And so I encourage you to consider where you have natural strengths and where you're underdeveloped in the 8 C's of self-leadership and self-care. Where can you lean into what's already well developed in you, and where are you called to grow? In calmness, clarity, curiosity, compassion, confidence, courage, creativity, and connectedness. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited. I've decided to create a community space on Patreon, and I just have a couple more things to put in place before I launch it. I hope that you will join me there. We're going to have live Q&As. We're going to have groups, lots of interaction with me and with each other. I'm going to offer discounts on workshops and lots of behind the scenes fun interactions and sharing. I'm going to probably start with a goals and visions group and restart up my spiritual experience groups. I'm kind of on fire. There's a link in the show notes. Join me on Patreon. If you want some help cultivating your own soul garden, let's set up a free discovery call. See if a block of spiritual psychology work might benefit you in your life. Shoot me an email, info@reneemckenna.com. Blessings on your path until we meet again. This is Renee McKenna for Spiritual Psychology.